y'all, it's Mari. You are watching the BadBettyKnits podcast, and I'll talk a little bit about that name change you might have noticed in just a minute. You might also notice a little bit of a location change. I'm actually hanging out in my sunroom today because the weather's beautiful, and I do have the door open, so my dog's may be running in and out. So if you sounds like a herd of elephants is going through, or you see me shooing somebody, or hear barking in the background, that's why. So it's been a while. How's everybody doing? I'm good and have some stuff to show you, although the knitting content might be a little light on the ground because I have something I can't show off right yet. So BadBettyKnits, I just wanted to mention, so if you've been watching for a little while, this podcast started out as Bittersweet Betty Knits, and I posted on Instagram, so if you follow me, you may have already seen this explanation a little bit. So does anyone else have a hard time figuring out what the hell to call themselves online? I've always gone by some sort of Betty name, because to me, Betty is like this, tough lady that, like, she's a lady, but she's not gonna take any shit. And so I've just always been really attracted to that name. It's old-fashioned, it's practical and sturdy. I had an Aunt Betty who was like look you dead in the eye and tell you what was what. And my mother-in-law was Betty, spelled a little differently, but she was awesome and kind of the same, just like no nonsense, very kind, but she wasn't gonna let anyone push her or her family around. So I love Bettys. I love old-fashioned names, and that one just feels right to me. And if you've ever looked it up, it's slang for girl or a babe or a cute girl or whatever. So that's kind of what my handle has always been, and I've never really figured out what goes with it. Probably 10 years ago I was going by Brown Betty because of being a brunette. That one never really, it was the closest I could come up with. I'm not very creative with names, so God help me if I ever start a yarn dyeing business and I have to name things. Used that for a while. Recently switched to Bittersweet Betty because I've sold felt flowers and like bittersweet and as a flower. If you are not from, I think it's pretty prevalent up north, but like it's that orange berry. So I kind of like that because like I'm not like a super sweet girl. I'm like sarcastic and moody, and I don't know. It seemed like maybe the better fit that I could think of, and so I've gone by that for a little while, sort of for, I don't know, business purposes is really the right thing to say, but sort of to have a shop and stuff like that, or sell at markets. And I've just been doing a lot of thinking lately, and it was funny, I actually went to a conference for work, my day job, about a week and a half ago, and ran into someone else that does my job in a nearby town, and she was like, "Did you know I'm following you on Instagram?" And she started telling people about the knitting that I did, and she was like, "Yeah, more like Badass Betty." And I was just like, I'm not, I feel I feel like a poser calling myself a badass. Like, do I want to be a badass? Of course. Who doesn't want to be a badass? Do you not want to be a badass? I think everyone well, maybe not everyone. You should want to be a badass. But in truth, I feel like maybe at most I'm badass light. So, I aspire to be that way, but I also am not like, my goal is not to be a jerk or anything, or, anything like that. I just want to, I want my life to be something where I stand up for myself and the people that I love, and get to a point of doing the things that are important to me and owning who I am, which I think if you watched the first episode, I talked a little bit about wanting to do this podcast because, I wanted to be more comfortable with myself. So ultimately, that is all to say that as I thought about it and thought about how much knitting has become a part of my persona, like I always avoided kind of doing something that was like Betty Knits, because I don't know. I didn't know if anyone would want to, like, I post a lot of pictures of my dogs. Like, do you want to see my dogs interspersed with knitting? But anyways, so in thinking about the badass light version of myself, I realized BadBettyKnits was a really good fit, and I liked how it sounds. I like that it's short and sweet. So, and I've been thinking about it and kind of what I want that to look like. So you may see some more things coming along with that. But hopefully by the time this is up, you'll have noticed a name change to the podcast. My Instagram name is now BadBettyKnits. And I think I'm still need to change my Ravelry name. But yeah, that's kind of the direction that the online identity is going for whatever that matters to anybody. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I don't know that changing a name has a huge impact, but you know, it's like part of owning yourself, I think, and I'm looking forward to that. So right after I did the last episode, I did some sewing, and I'm not a good sewist. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I can sew home goods. I'm good at that stuff. Like, straight seams I can do. I don't have the precision for it. Like, I'm not someone that's got such a cute attention to detail that, like, I care about making everything super straight. And, like, if it's all fastened together at some point, then I'm usually like, that's good to go. So, the other thing being that, like, I just don't have a lot of experience sewing clothes or anything, and so the only thing I've ever sewn to wear has been one of Sonia Phillips' dress number 1 patterns. It's basically like, I guess, the equivalent of a, I don't know, pinafore or jump. I don't know what you call it. Maybe here we call it a jumper. It's basically sort of like a long A-line. I have coffee in my lap, so I'm trying really hard not to spill it. So it's kind of like an A-line that goes out. So it doesn't have like any waist shaping. And the way that I get them to fit me, they tend to be like fairly tight here. I mean, fitted here, and then they kind of go out. So I like that pattern a lot, and have sewn a couple of them in, like, maybe last summer. I did a linen one and like a top out of some extra fabric that I had, and I like them. Like, my aspiration for, like, being an old lady is to be one of those ladies that just wanders around in, like, all linen with everything flowy. So I guess in terms of getting to that point, this is the beginning of just being like, I don't know, it's kind of a sack. The thing is, a lot of fat clothing is fairly sack-like, but the funny thing is, they're trying to make it look like it's not a sack, but it can't help itself. This stuff is intentionally kind of sack-like. It's, you know, like Fat Squirrel calls it her house dress life, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like, and I think other people have referred to it as like toddler granny style. So you got like the sort of toddler type dress, and then like you go old lady with like cardigans and knitting and all that stuff. So I guess that's kind of what I'm after. So yeah, I keep wanting to say I knit one of those. I sewed a couple last summer, and then last summer, well, it was still warm down here, I bought some discount flannel and was like, I'm gonna make these so I can wear them all fall. Fast forward to February where the fabric was still sitting on my desk and mocking me, and so finally I got around to washing it and cutting it. And like, that's the other thing, like, if you are looking for a beginner pattern to sew, I 110% recommend it. It goes up to a 3X, like a size 53 inch bust, I think. I'm a 54. So depending on, I've sewn both the 50, I've sewn both the, no, it goes up to a 4X, but it's the measurement I said was right. So I've sewn both a 4X, which is a 54, and a 3X, which is a 50. And the first time I sewed the 4X in like a quilting cotton, it had a lot of positive ease in the boobage area. And it was fine, and it works. It's in like a really loud pattern too, so there's that. So I don't love it, but it was fine. And then the next one I knit was the next one I sewed was in a navy like linen fabric, and I did that one as a 3X, and I had to make like a pattern tracing so that I didn't have to cut the original pattern. So that one fit pretty much how I wanted it to. Like, it was more fitted in the bust, and then, you know, just kind of goes down, and they come down to maybe about my knees, and I'm like 5'8", I think. So I think maybe Sonia on her website, which is like, I think her website is called 100 Acts of Sewing, and she has a bunch of patterns, and they're all relatively size inclusive. So 100actsofsewing.com, and then she's got tutorials like how to do the bias tape binding, and I think how to add length and adjust the neckline and stuff like that. So she really does give you a lot of options to customize your design. And so for me, like, I'm just kind of going for that. So I'm just going for the basic look. So I haven't really done a ton. Like, I don't customize the neck, and they're pretty much reversible, like inside, you can wear either side unless you put pockets on one side. So I like that. Like, the way that I typically wear them is either with a cardigan or with a long sleeve shirt underneath and over jeans. So if I bent over in one, not wearing pants, like, you'd see my whole backside. So yeah, for me, it's definitely something to wear with jeans. And sorry, my dog came for rubs. You probably can hear her panting because she's like right next to the mic. So, okay, back to the finished object part of this long spiel. So I finally got around to cutting the fabric, and I sewed one like the morning that we were supposed to go to a friend's son's birthday party. So I'm like finishing it as my husband's like, we're late, like we need to go. So I'm like finishing it and throw it on and wore it. And so when we got home, he took a picture of me. So if I remember, I will try and put it up over here. If you've been followed me on Instagram, you've probably already seen it. It's this burgundy and black check, and it's cozy. And like that day I wore it with just a cardigan, so like a tank top underneath it, and I actually kind of wore it without the cardigan at the party. So flannel is different. Like, it's kind of something to get used to because it's heavier weight fabric. But it definitely does feel very like cozy and homey, and a little bit like you're in your pajamas. So I did that one and put it up on Instagram, and I got a really nice response. So I think it's always helpful to like show people, if you're at the top of the line, like, here's what this is going to look like on you. Sonia Phillips herself is, I don't know what size she is. I'd wager probably like a 2 or 3X maybe. And she shows off a lot of her designs worn together. And so you do get to see her, but I think it's always helpful to show fat women wearing these designs so you can tell, like, did they just grade it up indiscriminately, or did they actually like make it to fit someone's body? So after I did that one, then I had another flannel that was sort of a larger print, orange and navy and gray and cream. So I did that one as well, and I actually really like that one. I think I like the pattern on it a little bit better, but I think it maybe, like, I asked my husband which one he liked better, and he said that he liked the burgundy one in terms of wearing, because it's just a little bit more like you're wearing a flannel that's meant to be apparel, versus the other one is a little bit flashier, I guess. But yeah, so I've worn both of them. The second one pairs really well with the Chuck sweater that I knit, and I wear them with my long sleeve shirts and wear them to work and everything. So they're really cozy. I've probably worn both of them like 3 or 4 times already, and I've only had them since like I think March 3rd, and so it's basically getting to the point where they'll be unwearable pretty soon, because it's going to be like 70 all the time here in a minute. So I actually have a third one that I've cut the fabric out for, and then in true procrastinator style, left it sitting on my sewing table, kind of wadded up. So at some point I've got to go back and re-iron that and sew it. They are pretty quick to sew. It's literally 4 seams, and then just depending, like, I've done them with the French seams. So if you're a sewist who is experienced, you probably know what that means. If you're not like me, just look it up. It just means you're basically encasing the seam, so there's no like unfinished edges exposed. Probably the most difficult part if you're a novice is you use binding tape to finish the neckline and armholes. So you basically like sew it around the outside, flip it over, and then sew it down again. So it gives it a nice finish, and it helps open up the, like it kind of does like that. So, and it's nice, like it gives you a little way to have a contrast if you want that. I mean, you can't really see it when it's being worn, but it gives it a little something on the inside. So those are my only finished objects right now. I guess the other slightly finished object, and this will kind of lead us into whips. So I have a group of girls that I taught to knit almost 10 years ago now. And, you know, life happened and a couple of them moved away, and, you know, most of us have gotten married and people are starting to have kids and stuff like that. So, a couple of you, sorry, my dogs are like attacking something under our deck. A couple of years ago when one of them had her first baby, I kind of emailed them and was like, hey, do you guys want to knit a baby blanket together? Which I was a little leery of, given that, you know, differences in gauge and all that stuff. And none of them, like, you know, knit religiously, I don't think. So, you know, they've kind of got to relearn every time they have to do a project like that. Could you guys take it outside? Thank you. My dogs are rough housing on the deck. So anyways, one of our friends has been trying to have a baby for a very long time, just had a baby, and so we're all very happy for her. And so like months ago I was like, let's all knit a blanket, and we got a little more ambitious with this one. We were gonna knit log cabin squares, which if you have never knit log cabin before, it's basically like you start with knitting a square and then you turn it 90 degrees and you knit another square, and then you turn that 90 degrees and then you knit, like you're adding logs to it, right? So I will show you. So this is a log cabin square. No, that's the back side. So you start with, I'm gonna dump coffee all over myself. So you start with this square, and then you turn it, and then you knit this one, and then you turn it, and you knit this one, turn it, knit this one. So you're always adding, and then it's going the length of, you know, whatever you've added on. So each girl got a color of yarn, and there's 5 of us working on it. So we got 5 colors. Everybody was supposed to knit 5 squares, and so they'll all be sewn together by me. And I'm gonna do logs in between, so like you would with a quilt. So I'm not just gonna knit or sew all the squares together. I'm gonna knit like in this colored, this cream, I'm gonna knit, here, let's do this like this. So I've started, you know, kind of doing the in-between logs, and I think, let's see, I've got an enormous bag full of squares now. I knit a couple of them together. So like for instance, there's this, and then hold that there. There's this, and then the missing piece between these is a yellow square that I haven't gotten from my friend Lori yet. So there'll be a yellow one in between. So this is the color spectrum that we did. Our friend Rebecca is like very earthy, kind of hippie mama. And so I thought this was nice because it feels very earthy for her. She had a little boy. So, yeah, so I'm waiting on the yellow squares. So Lori, if by chance you're watching this, feel free to send those to me anytime. And so I had to get started. And the red squares were done by my girlfriend Alyssa, who's local to me. And then these orange ones were done by Tiffany Perscala, my girlfriend that lives in Columbus, Ohio. And Tiffany, if you're watching, you did a good job. And the green ones got a start from my friend Dana. Dana's been a little crazy at work, so she was like, I knit a little bit of this, can you finish them for me? So I knit hers and mine mostly. So this one was mine. So the blanket will ultimately be 25 squares, 5 by 5, and it will have, you know, sort of this in between. And then what will happen is once they all get sewn into big long what have you, then I'll go and pick up and knit the big long column and start attaching the columns to each other. And then depending on, I don't know when this kid's gonna get this, he might be like 5 by the time he gets it, but whenever it gets done, I'd like to do an outer border, but we'll see. It might depend how I feel about some of those larger pickups. So yeah, that's been a big whip just in general, and like it was good. Like having to do some of Dana's squares actually got me to finish, and then the other thing that's going on is I'm doing a test knit for someone, and this is probably, so I think I told you what my last test knit was, which was the B Street pullover that I still haven't finished. So if anyone's watching this, don't, if you have a tight deadline, don't ask me to test knit. But here's the thing. So all these people that have been responding to calls for more inclusive sizing for knitting and sewing patterns, thank you so much. And I had someone message me that was like, I'm doing it and I would love for you to knit one. And her pattern was beautiful. And I kind of was like, well, maybe, like, then she sent me pictures of the pattern. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. So the pattern's really great, and I've enjoyed test knitting it, but she wants to kind of keep it under wraps until she's ready to release it. So I can't show it off, unfortunately, but I'm really excited to show it to you eventually. And I assume, I'm not sure at what point I'll be able to show it to you, but it's basically a cardigan. This will actually be the first cardigan I've ever knit, so it's, you know, it's gonna be I can show you the yarn I'm knitting it in at least. I'm gonna end up dumping coffee all over my love seat here at some point. So that's not a good one to use. I think I mentioned before, I don't know if I did mention this or not, but anyways, so this is Dream in Color Classy, something with cashmere. And this is actually, I don't know what the color name is. It's a club way, or a club color that I actually got from the Salty Sheep in the coast of North Carolina. I can't remember, Swansboro. If you're ever in Swansboro for whatever reason, it's tucked away, but it's a great yarn store. I would totally recommend it. So I got 3 skeins of this, and it was just like, I was so like taken with it that I probably should have bought another one, but I was trying to restrain myself. So I had 3 of these, and when Paula is the name of the designer, when Paula asked me to test it, the pattern takes 4 skeins of yarn. And so I was like, well, all my sweater quantities, I have other thoughts for, and I didn't really want to use them for that. But then I remembered this, and I was like, and it's very multicolored, so like you can kind of tell. There we go. I don't know if that helps. So it's definitely, it's like kind of a very cool gray, with like a rainbow of speckles. Well, it's not even speckles, it's sort of like different things. One skein is now coming out kind of pastel, which is kind of a bummer, but like this one that I started striping one of the sleeves because it was very pastel-y, like the color's just not there as it was in some of the rest of the skein. So now I'm striping this one with more to it. So anyways, 3 skeins. Wasn't quite sure how to make that work. The pattern can be, she was fine with doing 3/4 sleeves and like sort of cropped. So I've got to the part, I've like split for the sleeves, and what I've decided to do is I'm going to knit the sleeves down to 3/4, and then whatever else I have left can be for the body. So it's a beautiful pattern. I'm not trying to tease you guys, but you'll see it one day. So it's a cardigan, and it's knit back and forth, obviously. And it has a lace panel in the back. And so what I decided to do was I bought this yarn. This is by Black Sheep Dye Works, and I think it's like raspberry. I think if you go on there, you'll probably see. Oh no, it's plumberry. There we go. Hey, good memory. So I bought a couple skeins of this, and so this is what I'm knitting the lace in. And the way that I'm doing that is so when I'm knitting a row, I've got 3 balls of yarn going. So I, knit one side in the Dream in Color, and then do the like twist the strands, and then knit the lace, and then twist the strands, and then knit with the second ball of Dream in Color, and then come back. So it looks really great right now. And my biggest thing I'm trying to figure out is I'm a little worried about how much yarn I'll have left for the body once the sleeves are done, which if it ended up being kind of cropped, that would be fine, because again, I'm mostly gonna wear this with dresses, and like, because it's got the lace, and it's got like lace in the shoulders, it's definitely going to be more for warmer weather, which is great. Excuse me. So I can wear it in the warmer weather on occasion when I need it. So I'm thinking that what I might do is do the cuffs and the bottom ribbing and the button bands in this, so it will kind of carry the two-tone color all the way through. And it would also look a little bit old-fashioned. Like if you've ever seen like those two-tone sweaters, that's kind of what they look like a little bit. I'm still on the fence about it just because I like this color, but it just wasn't what I was originally picturing. So I'm kind of having to wrap my mind around it. But yeah, that's the direction I'm kind of heading in. So this one has a deadline of April 1st. I think Paula said it was fine as long as you she wanted to test for sort of the bust fit and the sleeves. So I'm midway through one of the sleeves, and I knit till I got through separated for the sleeves, and then there were some more neck increases. So you just kept, because it's a V-neck, so you had to keep going with neck increases. So I knit the body down until I got done with the neck increases. So then basically anything I knit from neck down, from where the neckline ends down, should just be a straight body. I didn't want to have to worry about like where I left off with those, so I was like, I'll just finish it. And it was good. It gave me about this much to work off of when I was picking up the sleeves. So yeah, so that's kind of my whip that I'm not supposed to talk about. Sorry, I don't think there's enough of you watching that anyone will be particularly put out. Paula, if you want to, sorry, I didn't show the pattern or my work in progress, but it's going to be awesome. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been spending most of my time on, and honestly probably will by the next time I talk to you guys again. But I have been giving myself permission to work on a couple other things just so that it doesn't get like monotonous. And that was the other good thing about knitting sleeves in the middle. Like it kind of gives me, when I've gotten tired of doing the, knit across, purl back, then it's just like knitting in the round with a little bit of lace. So like Friday and Saturday, I kind of gave myself permission to just do something else. And so what I ended up working on was this caramel pine shawl. So I don't know if I can, there we go. That's sort of it. Okay, so if you see where the stitch marker is, that's where I got to the last time that I showed it to you. So good thing it's a shawl. So yeah, so this is it. So this is kind of where I was. So I was doing these eyelet rows, and then once I did, as many eyelet rows as the pattern specified, so you can kind of see. So it's got that variegated, this color is Wildfire by Hooker's Corner, and then the white is Crisp Air by the Blackberry Ridge. So once I had done all the eyelet rows, I bound off one side, and then you have all the stitches from the other side, and you just start knitting from there. So you're knitting across, and then it's doing sort of the slanting decrease so the nice thing about now is that it's working down, which means I'm always having less to knit. So I keep hoping at some point soon this is going to start speeding up like crazy, because I'm going to be like, it's much less to knit. I think this is like, I don't know, it's not quite 200 stitches, something like that. So I'll go for a while longer on this, doing the striping, and then I'll repeat these rows just in a line, the eyelet rows in the white, and then you go back to striping again to get to the tail. So yeah, it's been some nice progress, and like I said, I feel like this is a nice one. It's a good alternative when I'm needing to not be purling back anymore. It was a little painful until I got done with the eyelet, the triangle shaping, just because that was always getting bigger. Like every row was increasing like 4 stitches. So I was happy to get done with that and cast off, and now it's been going pretty quick. So I don't know if I'll keep working on this or not. I mean, obviously I want to get this one done. And again, like I think anytime I knit a shawl, it's like I want to get it done so that I can move on to the next shawl. And so yeah, I'm not gonna try and start another one, but I want to. Actually, I want to start like 2 or 3, but I'm trying to be good. I'm drinking coffee because we were out of coffee this morning, and then I got some when I went to my knitting group, and the whole time kept thinking about getting a second cup, and we bought some while we were there. And I got home and I was like, I really just want to keep drinking some coffee. And then it's like 5 o'clock, so God help me. I may not be sleeping tonight. I don't know if I'm not affected by it, but it's Sunday. The weather's beautiful. And had a good knitting group, which was fun. So yeah, so that's most of my whips. The other whippy thing I started right before, so before I started the test knit, before the pattern came out, I was trying really hard to like power through the baby blanket stuff, like finish my squares and then start doing some of them. I'm kind of at the point where I've got to wait till I get the last set of squares to really move forward. But as you may recall, I had talked about knitting the nurtured sweater, and so I still really wanted to do that, and so I went ahead and cast on. So here's how far I got. So this is my nurtured sweater. I really like the pattern so far. So this is being knit again in the Holst Garn Super Soft, which is kind of an ironic name. This is not a soft yarn, at least not yet. I think it changes somewhat when you wash it. But it's not bad, and it's like, but it's very woolly. So like, I'm not someone that like loves woolly stuff, but I can see an appreciation for it. So the pattern's interesting. It's being knit. So what you do is you knit the sleeves first, and those are sort of your second, you swatch, right? Because we're all good swatchers. But it's sort of a reaffirming swatch. So before you start knitting the body, if you need to double check your gauge and see how it performs when it's actually knit in the round and so on. So this is being knit with Holst Garn held double. It's like a fingering weight, and it's supposed to plump up when it's washed because it has spinning oil in it. So the only bad thing about this is that like, I think it makes my hands a little rough, because it's got texture to it, and so I feel like it's pulling the moisture out of my hands, and then where that moisture's been pulled out, they're getting dry, and so that's a little tough. But I haven't worked on this in a while now. It's kind of on hold until I get the other sweater done. But in terms of making it look like I've done more that I can show you, I figured I'd show that off. And I'm going to show you the bag that it's in a minute. So yeah, that's pretty much my whips. I mean, that's a lot, I guess. I think it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I've recorded one of these. And so, I mean, it's not like stuff's not getting done. I mean, it's also not like I have to do anything other than the thing I committed to do. But you know how it goes. We all want to knit like all the time, and we all would rather be knitting than working some days. And we want to get stuff done. We want to get stuff done because we want to have things to wear, things to show off, whatever. And I think that's the one sort of downside to having like the Make 9. I mean, obviously it's fine as long as you're chill about it, but if you're like, I have this sweater I want to knit, and this sweater, and this one, and this one, then it gets to be, you just think about, if you hit a slump with one of your things, and it gets to be easy to think about, I could be knitting this other thing. So yeah, I'm trying not to do that. I'm enjoying what I've been knitting lately, so that's all good. And I had, like I mentioned, I had a conference that I went to for work. Conferences are great. I usually knit while I'm at a conference. I try to sit in the back so I don't distract anybody. And I always want to tell the person, I think I said this last time, I always want to tell the person presenting, like, I'm totally paying attention. I promise. Like, I'm probably paying more attention than everybody in here that's on their phone. So yeah, so that gave me some time to knit, which was fun. And so what else has been going on? So that finishes the knitting content. If you're here only for that, thanks for stopping by. See you next time. If you're just here to listen to me ramble for a little bit and want to hear what I've been like doing and buying and all that stuff, so I feel like I've been trying not to buy a lot of stuff lately, just because I've certainly reached that point where I'm like, I could knit all the projects for a year and not need to buy any more yarn. I do say that, and then had bought yarn to do that cardigan because I didn't have exactly the shade of pink I was hoping for, so I'm kind of a liar, but whatever. So one of the first things that makes me a liar about that is Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. I'm not sure if that's exactly her name, but it's Bad Wolf Girl on Instagram, and she's got an Etsy shop. So Bad Wolf Girl is a fandom dyer. Like, a lot of her colors that she dyes come from things that she's a fan of. I know she does like a lot of Harry Potter stuff, but one of the things she does is a lot of Doctor Who stuff. And so she came out with the Doctor Who companion series volumes, something like that. So it's basically a mini set that she worked on, and it came with a charm that she worked with another maker to do. And so let me see if I can find it. There it is. So this is volume 1, so I guess that means there's going to be volume 2. I'm not really sure. Okay, so this is her. So go check her out. Her stuff's awesome. At one point she posted about a colorway that I had looked at and thought about buying. And she was like, I really love this one, and no one was buying it. And I was a little sad. And then suddenly everyone started buying it, and I was like, yeah, it's a good colorway. So, so these colorways are inspired by, if you're not a Doctor Who fan, this might not make sense to you, but if you are, then I think you'll probably know all these. I had a conversation at the knitting group about companions and different doctors and stuff like that, and like I haven't watched the latest, so I don't know anything about those new companions. But so this is the colorways that she's done. So this one is for Rose, who is the companion to David Tennant's Doctor number 10. This one is nope, that's wrong. This one is Martha Jones. So Martha Jones was also a companion to the Doctor, David Tennant's Doctor. I like this one a lot. It's got a lot of interesting like plummies and kind of stormy grayish blue. This one is for Donna. So the Catherine Tate's character with David Tennant. So I think they did go with that one. I think she's a redhead, and they needed to do some orangey red in it, and the purple she's kind of royalty, so I think that works. And then this one is Amy Pond. So Amy Pond is my favorite companion, and Matt Smith was my favorite Doctor. So this one I think she nailed, and because Amy's a redhead. And the pond is kind of like earthy, and so I really like this one. And what she did that I thought was great, if I remember, I'll try and download a picture, but she did fan art where she had slices of each of the different companions with some like fan art with them, and so that was to kind of show, I guess, where she got her inspiration. So I felt like that was really great, because it kind of was like, when she did that, I was like, I like all of those things, so I think we'll be good. And what did I have left? Okay. So I think this one is for Clara, for Jenna Coleman, which that one I'm a little like, I don't know. The only thing I will say on it, if I have no idea if this is what her inspiration was, but like Rose, if you're, again, sorry if you didn't come here for Doctor Who fan nerdery, sorry. But so these two companions, so Rose and then Clara, are kind of like, I think the ones he had like almost romantic attachments to. So maybe that's why. Clara was relatively sassy too, so I think like she could have gotten some more color to hers, but I do like all of them. And obviously you guys listen to me rant about, the Gravity Falls. So I think what helped, what was really good, was this was not a mystery thing that we bought. So she did the fan art with the different companions, and then she showed the skeins. So that was good, and that was why I bought it, because I figured I looked at it ahead of time and liked them all and thought she did a good job, and so like there wasn't any surprise. So just confirms again, no mystery buys for anything I have sentimental attachment to. But this one is definitely my favorite out of all of them. So Amy Pond is my most favorite, I think, forever. And then the other thing, I think I saw this, but like it didn't compute that this was going to be in there, but it came with this little, it came with this little charm. Let me take it out. So if you are familiar with the show, then you've probably seen, if you watch the Donna episodes, then you know that this is an adipose baby, I guess. It's like, I'm not going to explain it, just go look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. So basically this is fat, which I didn't really think through, but I kind of love that now I have a fat stitch marker that's related to Doctor Who, so that's pretty awesome. So that came with it, which was awesome. And then that was done by, I guess I should just take the card out of the plastic, huh? I kind of was waiting and wasn't waiting to show this to you guys, but this is the card that it came with. So I think that's got all her contact information, but Simply Serving, she does a lot of cute stitch marker and progress keepers, so they work together on that, so I was really happy with it. I don't know if there's going to be a volume 2. There's certainly more companions, but none of them have been my most favorite, so I don't know if I'd get another one, but I like those ones. I'm hoping maybe if she does full skeins for Amy, then I'll get those. Okay, so that was the first thing that came. The next thing that happened, so this wasn't technically buying, but I did buy things to exchange, so take it with a grain of salt. If you have any issues, if you do, honestly, just keep it to yourself. That's fine. So I did fiber share, which I think I mentioned last time. I did not take any photos of the stuff that I sent. So I can't show off that stuff now that my partner has gotten it. But so I was partnered to receive from a indie dyer who goes by the name of Nerdy Bird Yarns. So she sent me, this is insane, y'all. Like, so the requirement for fiber share is that you have to send 200 grams of yarn. So for non-knitters, that's like 2 skeins of yarn. And I guess when unless people send more than that, like I sent, I think 3, 2 from local dyers that I knew, and then 1 that was just like, I dug out of my stash because I liked it and it was kind of made me think of her. But so Katie, if you're watching, I think that's, I hope I didn't mix you guys up. I'm sorry if I did. But anyways, the name that's important to know is Nerdy Bird Yarns, because that's her yarn dyeing company. So she sent me this gorgeous color. Like, this is insane. I opened it, and I opened the card first, and she was like, I think I sent you enough to help you do any kind of project. So she sent me 6 skeins of this. That's insane. So it's gorgeous, and I love the color too. Like, it's such an interesting orange color. Like, I don't know if I would have bought this, but I love it. Like, so she sent me, I mean, truly, like, I have a bag full of it here. I mean, all of this. Like, I have all of this, and it's in a DK weight. So her DK skeins, the yarn base is called Erlenmeyer. 246 yards, 75% superwash merino. This is orange like Effie's hair, so Hunger Games reference, which is awesome too. And she's got some really cool ones that are like science-based, hence the Nerdy Bird, I think. She has this one that's almost like, it reminds me of an oil slick, and I think if you get it on her sparkle base, it's like one of those really dark gray, almost black colors, and then like it has like all the colors of the rainbow coming through. I kind of need to go buy it, but I'm trying to be good and not buy stuff right now. But anyways, so she was an awesome fiber share partner. She also sent me some little tags that said like handmade, that you can put on your clothes or your items when you give them to people. she sent me a magnetic, like a Maker's Keeper thing that's like basically a magnetic pad you wear on your wrist. And let me see if I've got it. Everything's kind of scattered to the window because have been using it. So this thing, so you like wear it, and then it's got, you know, you can stick your needle to it, you know, so if you got it on your wrist, you're not losing stuff. Or like this, if you need an explosion of stitch markers, which for my cardigan, I've been needing stitch markers. So I was like, I need stitch markers. And I forgot that she had sent me these. So this is actually super handy. And it's one of those like snap bracelets almost, so it kind of fits any size. So that was awesome in and of itself. So she sent me that, plus the name tags, plus some wonderful chocolate that I've already eaten. So sorry, you can't see that. She sent me a box of orange cinnamon spice tea, which my husband has had. I have not actually had any yet. And there were a couple other goodies in there. She sent me some like really cool snips. Sorry. So some like cool snips from BadBettyKnits. So like most of the little notions things were from BadBettyKnits. And I think these ones are supposed to be like crazy sharp. But so I am always up for more scissors and such. But yeah, really and truly just the crowning achievement of this fiber share was getting all this. So she sent me 6 skeins, which is almost 1,500 yards. So in DK weight, that might be enough to do a sweater for me, especially if I supplement it with anything else. Like, so I have a sweater's quantity of like a navy blackish color from Metal & Tosh, and what I really want to do is use this color with the navy to do the arboreal sweater by Jennifer Steingass, but I don't want to just use one and then have 5 skeins left if it's not enough. So this is marinating for right now, but every now I kind of put it places where I can see it so that I get to remember how beautiful it is. And so go check Katie out, Nerdy Bird Yarn. She doesn't have her website on here, but I think you can just look her up. I think she's got a shop on Etsy. But she did an awesome job. So if you ever get I highly recommend having a indie yarn dyer for a fiber share partner if you can, because they're super generous. At least this one was. So that one was not my fault, but I'm really excited to have that yarn for a sweater at some point, because that's different. Like I have an orange quantity for a sweater, but it's like such a rusty brown compared to this. So I'm really excited to see what I could do with this. And then the final thing, sorry y'all, the final thing that kind of made me a liar about buying things is this weekend was the Carolina Fiber Festival, which is held in Raleigh. So you guys have heard me talk about SAF before, which happens in Asheville in the fall. Carolina Fiber Festival is something that happens usually in March here, and it is a pretty even split, I think, between like yarn and like spinning and some weaving. So now if I had my way, it would probably be all yarn and much more indie dyers, because I don't spin or weave or anything like that at this point. But I like going, and it's not huge, so usually I can go for like an hour and kind of hit everything that I want to see. So I went, and there were a lot of cool dyers there, but I was being good, so I really tried not to buy anything. The one person that I knew I wanted to hit while I was there was Twist Fiber, no, what's it called? Yeah, Twist Fiber Studios. So I discovered her last year at the Fiber Festival, and she's a yarn dyer, but she's also a bag maker. So last year I bought 2 of her bags, because they're really nice. Like, they're super simple, they don't have pockets or anything, but she does this really nice little handle, and it's zipped, which I like. I'm not a big fan of drawstring. This is where my nurtured sweater is living for right now, but she's, you know, it's just a simple liner. And then I really fell in love with this one. So last year I bought this bag, which I think of as my space otter sea. Otter sea. And I bought one that had bears on it. So I bought 2 last year, and they're pretty much the main things that I use to house my projects. And so She puts stuff online sometimes, I think, but when it's show season, like, she just sells at shows. So she just goes to shows and does that. And so this is the show that she comes to that's closest to me. So this year I knew. I was like, I'm going to get some more bags. So I bought 2 more bags. My husband was like, do you have things in all the bags you already have? And I was like, more or less. So he asked me how many whips I had, or how many, well, he didn't call them whips because he didn't know they're called whips, but he was like, how many projects do you have going right now? And I was like, shh, we don't talk about that. And he's like, how many projects? Shh, we don't talk about that. So anyway, so this was my main splurge. So I fell in love with this one because I love the old-fashioned pattern. It's got the, you know, the brown, and the orange is really what gets me, but I liked all the colors together. And I seriously walked around her booth, like, I probably made 4 laps, and she probably thought I was casing the joint because I really, like, have to make hard decisions about what to get because I like so many of her bags, but it's always a matter of, like, figuring out which ones come out on top. So the other one that I got was this one. So again, not a big pink girl, but dogs wearing flower crowns and shirts. I was like, yeah, just take my money already. So, and it always helps, like, this is a little pit bull. The other ones are cute, but like the fact that she's got a pit bull on it, and this blue, I mean, it's not like a particular color or anything, like, I love it. So I got this one, again, nice little handle here. And then this is what my caramel pine shawl is living in right now. So yeah, like, her stuff's great quality. What I really love, other than the zipper and everything, is that her bags are interfaced, so they're a little bit, they stand up. Like, I just like that because I don't generally fold the, like, walls down of a bag to, like, make it kind of stand up like a yarn bowl. So I just prefer to use these ones. I just like wedge bags. So I don't know if I'll ever get a fat squirrel bag, just because I'm not good at always catching the updates or anything. So the only thing I wish she would do a bigger size, because this is perfect for 2 to 3 skeins. But like when I'm doing sweaters, I kind of need something like that. So if she made sweater size ones, I'd probably buy more. But I'll look at it this way: if ever I'm able to get to a fat squirrel queue or update, then I can buy a sweater bag, because that's what I don't have in my collection. So those were the first 2 purchases I made at Carolina Fabric Festival. And then, so I walked all around. I looked at all the pretty yarn. I bought some really beautiful yarn there last year from Hot Knit. And she was there again, and I looked at stuff, and I was like, I could buy all this stuff, but I'm going to be good and just not. And then I went to the Fiber Studio, and they had this. I'm not going to unbox it, but you can kind of see the color. So, I mean, I just love it. I'm apparently a huge sucker for rainbow mini sets. I have 2 sets of minis already that are various shades of rainbow. I bought, I think I bought both of them at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So one is from White Birch. I'm not sure I'm gonna get the names right, but anyways, I bought them at the same booth. One is Cannon Hand Dyes, and so that one is like, I think 24 really tiny skeins of all of her, like the entire rainbow, on a Tweety base. So I was like, yep, that's going in my bag. And then there was another one that was a different dyer, but in the same booth, that I think was White Birch, or I think it was White Birch. And that was dyed on a yak base, so it has sort of this gray undertone. I was like, yep. So both of those are still sitting upstairs in their boxes. But I spotted this, and they had different ones. Like, this is actually the last one. This is the Cherokee set. And so, pause for dog barking. Does anyone else have dogs that do zoomies? I wish I could show you, but my pit bull is going nuts. Like, she's kind of fat, so she doesn't do a lot of running. But then she'll get zoomies every now and then, and she just goes nuts. Anyways, back to the yarn. So, so what she calls this, I think you can see it. I can't see you, so I hope you can see this. So this is the half vent with fog bound knits. So it's basically, each kit contains one. So they did not sell this as a kit. They were just selling these, and then you could buy a skein of yarn to go with it. But if you had gotten it as a kit, there are 12 8-gram mini skeins. So if this with another skein of yarn is over 1,000 yards. So I think the skeins are like 560. So this is probably like $450 or something like that. Can you go breathe loudly somewhere else? Nope. I'm gonna lay right here. So anyways, so this was gorgeous, and I think it was the last one. She actually had the sets, like larger minis for the Crown Mystery Knit Along, which I think was by Casapinka. And that one's interesting because it's like every color does a different stitch pattern. And if they'd had that, I think I would have bought that because I just really like this. But anyways, the reason that the thing that sold me on it was that they had it knit up in a pattern called Under Rainbow. So it's they had a cowl. They also had a hat with it. I kind of got the sense that, like, I guess if you bought the cowl pattern, you got a hat with it, and that this kit with another skein could make both of those. So I think the dyer, or someone that was working the booth, I think she was the dyer, came over and talked to me while I was looking at this stuff. And so you needed a full skein of another color, and I think theirs had been done with like maybe gray or something, and I wasn't really digging the gray because I figure I'll probably use gray with some of the other rainbow kits. So I ended up getting this, which is their espresso colorway, and this is their SW Merino fingering, 4 ounces, 560 yards. It's 100% superwash merino. So basically this is gonna be, I think, that pattern. Again, I want to start knitting it right now just so I can finally like do one of these, but again, obligations, life. So at some point this is gonna be a pattern together in a pattern together. So I just really like it. I think she did a really good job with the gradient, going from this, downward, and then doing the, this is kind of a navy, or no, not navy, sort of like a tealy blue, and then this light. So I think this will be the last color, because after this one I think I'll do this one to kind of make that transition. So yeah, so that's what else I bought. That one was kind of more of an impulse buy. I figured, what the heck, it was actually really reasonably priced. It was like $25 for this, and then this was $25. So it's, what's 12 times 8? 96. So this is almost a full skein of yarn. $25 for this is really good, because like it takes a lot of work to dye up these minis because you're doing this mini skeins, so as the dyer pointed out, not many people do them. So I guess the people who do them well consider it worthwhile, but I would have expected to pay more, like $40 for this. So great price. If you want to look her up, it's the her label. So the website is the Fibre Studio, FIBRE studio.com, and it's called the Fibre Studio at Yarns to Die For. So definitely check her out. She had some other great colorways, and I tried really hard to be good. So that's what I walked out of there with. And yeah, so that's kind of everything. So for not buying things, I bought things. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully finishing this cardigan in the next couple of weeks, and then getting on to some other things. And it's getting to be warm weather. Like I said, the weather here is beautiful today. I've got the door open and my dogs are going in and out, and this is like that time of year where I don't mind it, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for spring. And then in like 3 weeks I'm gonna be like, fuck you, spring or summer, you need to go. And then it's like 8 months of like 90 degrees. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. And the other thing I was going to ask before I end was, I think I'm at like 70 subscribers, which is a lot to me, but not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But I did want to throw out there, if anybody has come across me lately and has questions or wants to know anything, I'd be happy to answer some questions if you want to leave them in the comments, or yeah, leave them in the comments or message me through Instagram. If you want to do like a little ask me anything, please feel free. I've thought about what else to record. Like, I'd kind of like to do my how I came to knitting, but I recorded it once and I felt like it was kind of boring. It's not like anything amazing. It's not like I don't know, scaled a mountain or anything, but yeah, if there's something else you guys want to see, like, I know some people are just, you're here for the regularity of it and community, and that's great, and I'm totally down for that. But if there's something else you guys are interested in knowing or hearing, just let me know. So that's all I have for right now, and hopefully I'll get back to you guys in another like 2 weeks, something like that. So thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, and look forward to talking with you guys soon. Bye.